but I think he's there to be taken on at around even money.
And this is actually a bit of head and heart.
We love him. He's a beautiful man. He really is.
Now this taxi driver,
his air of invincibility has gone.
Oh, the teaser. Everyone loves a teaser. They really do. Hello and welcome to the Next Gen Racing YouTube channel for our weekend preview, where last weekend we had a smashing weekend preview. We previewed around 6 races. I think between us, Jack, we had 4 out of the 6 winners. We go across 3 cards here, Jack. You looking forward to the action this weekend?
Yeah, I can't wait, actually. We got good action from both sides of the Irish Sea, on flat and National Hunt as well, especially with the National Hunt action. And we're going to see a few exciting prospects here. Can't wait.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. And we are going to kick things off with Down Royal on Friday. We're starting for the 3:30 there. It's the only race we're going to preview on the Friday. There is plenty of top-class action there on the Friday. We see Zanna here, probably going to go off a short price in the WKD hurdle over there. And we have some nice mares, novice hurdlers potentially in action. So looking forward to finding out how they do. But this beginner's chase, Jack, is the Tote 10 to follow beginner's chase over 2.5 miles. Beacon's Edge is your favourite here, 11-8. Vanillier, the Albert Bartlett winners, 9-4. Grand Paradis, 5-2. Champagne Gold, 15-2. Lifetime Ambition, 10-1. And 50-1 bar those. Jack, it is fascinating to see the Albert Bartlett winner over fences, probably over a distance that, you know, it may not suit the horse, maybe better over further. What do you make of this? Because this has been a fascinating race in the past.
Yeah, it has been a very fascinating race. Of course, I'm looking forward to see Hollow Games as well in the 10-1 in the maiden hurdle there to see what kind of prospect he can be. But yeah, if you look at the last 4 winners, I mean, that includes Envoy Allen last year, Sam Crow 2019 and Delta Work 2018. For me, it's an interesting race, but Gordon Elliott's won it the last 4 years, and I think Grand Paradis been completely overlooked. I know Vanillier was pretty destructive in the Albert Bartlett, and Beacon Edge has been very impressive as well. I think they've obviously got the form edge in the race, but the problem for me is it's not their trip. They both want further, and I think that's going to show here. I think they've both got the question mark as well of a seasonal reappearance, as does Grand Paradis, don't get me wrong, but since Grand Paradis won in February, I mean, he just looks like a big chaser from the word go. I mean, Gordon Elliott even said that after his win in February. And then, I mean, he backed that up at Furlers very easily last time out in graded company. He made it look like it really wasn't graded company. I mean, it wasn't the strongest event by any stretch of the imagination. But, I mean, he's related to, I think it's Vesely, who's a grade 2 chase winner over in France as well. I mean, he's bred to appreciate this switch to fences. I think he's slightly overlooked. And I think 5-2, if you can get 3-1 on the day, if money comes for Vanillier or Beacon Edge, I think 3-1 is going to be a cracking price, and hopefully Gordon Elliott can make it 5 out of the last 5.
Yeah, there we go. We kick off the preview. I don't think we actually agreed on a race last time we did a preview, but we kick off the preview where we're going to be agreeing here, and I think Grand Paradis is completely overlooked. I completely agree with you. Like you mentioned there, the horse is actually fairly unexposed. Only lost 1 of his 4 starts, and like you say, looks a very big chaser. I do think Vanillier is going to look a lot better over further. I actually think this horse might be better over further as well. But Vanillier, I think the horse is a bit too short on chasing debut here. I just think that I prefer to see this horse over 3 miles. I'm sure see it in time and probably will be winning over 3 miles. Depends how this horse jumps. And like you say, Beacon Edge probably very similar. Another one that I can see over 3 miles. But Grand Paradis is a great starting point for him. I think he's the better price of the 3 at the top of the market. And like I say, Gordon Elliott's got an excellent record, and Jack Kennedy on board, a massive plus. So an agreement in the first race on the preview with Grand Paradis in the Tote 10 follow beginner's chase at Down Royal on Friday. Let's go on to Saturday's action now. And oh my God, we have a hell of a Saturday. I mean, we get to see the likes of the Gold Cup winner, the King George winner. We get to see a Stayers Hurdle hero in action, and plenty of other top quality National Hunt horses. And we will stay in Ireland for 2 races over there. Down Royal 250, it's the Ladbrokes Champion Chase, a grade 1 over 3 miles. And the Gold Cup winner here, Minella Indo's your 4-5 favourite. Galvin is 7-2. Frodon is 4-1. Delta Work is around 9s. Ravenhill 50-1. And Fairy Hill Run 100-1. Jack, there's been a lot of drama today with regards to horse jockey switching and everything like this. We've got Blackmore and Kennedy switching on the mouse. Kennedy now riding Delta Work. Obviously rode Minella Indo in the Gold Cup. Blackmore now switched this horse, but it makes complete sense. Look, they're retained riders for their yards. Gordon wants his jockey on his horse, and he's going to get it. And I would love to see Delta Work really prove how good he could have been in this race. I can't put the horse up, I really can't. But Delta Work, he did look like at one stage he was going to have the world at his feet, and I think he will win a race this season. But I think this is a bit too tough. I'm actually going to be with Frodon. It's an interesting one, but the horse seems to go well fresh. You can remember last year in a big handicap at Cheltenham, the horse did really well over, I think it was 3.25 miles. I think actually 3 miles is this horse's perfect trip. I think this is where we see the best from Frodon. I think this horse is an excellent jumper. We saw that in the Gold Cup where 4 out, he looked like he had a fair chance. You know, he was jumping well from the front and didn't look like he was going to make any mistake anytime soon. But I think it was just too much of a tougher race. The grade of the race and then the horse level in that race was probably just a bit too much for him. A small field, but I do think that potentially he could jump them silly here. I know that Manella Indo was very impressive at Wexford at the start of last season, where the horse beat Milan Native by about 25 lengths. But look, if you could get Frodon without Manella Indo, I don't know what the market would say there, but potentially a decent bet. But I do think that Frodon's going to run a big race on seasonal reappearance for myself, Jack. I mean, Manella Indo is going to be difficult to oppose, though, and Galvin is a novice on the up, and a lot of people after this horse's debut run fancied him to run a big race and for the Gold Cup later in the year. But what do you make of this? Do you think it's just all about Manella Indo?
Yes and no. Obviously, Milana Indo deserves to be favourite, but I think he's there to be taken on at around even money. Rachel Blackmore, I don't think it's too much of a negative, but I mean, she didn't get the same kind of tune out of him as Jack Kennedy did in either the Savills or the Irish Gold Cup. And to be fair, I think Manella Indo's jumping was a little bit iffy in both of them, and he was jumping out to his right as well. Even in the Gold Cup when he won, I think he was perhaps a little bit flattered by the way the race was run in the Gold Cup. Frodon could perhaps set it up exactly the same, and I could be here kicking myself. It was even money looked good, but I think Galvin has a fitness edge on them. Of course, won last time out over 3 miles, and I do think he's probably the way to go here. I mean, Davy Russell's on board, of course. He's got a really determined attitude. He's a battler. He was going away at the line that day. He didn't really jump all that well. I thought 3 miles could have been a little bit on the sharp side for him, but he proved me wrong there. And if Frodon does go off at a decent clip and turn it into a bit of a test, I think Galvin, with his determined attitude, could be able to battle them silly to the line. And hopefully, I think 4-1 is a decent price to take on a Manella Indo, who I do think is vulnerable. I mean, this could be where they decide to actually switch Galvin from a national hunt chaser, a Grand National, to actually a Gold Cup, and we could see that 3 miles is not too sharp for him.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Both taking on Manella Indo. I think he's rightfully going to be the favourite here. But Jack and I are both with 4-1 selections with Galvin and Frodon. Do you know what? We'll go on to this race briefly, Jack. It's the 3:35, the Join Racing TV Chaser, Grade 2 over 2.5 miles. I'll just mention the fact that MVLN is the 7-2 favourite here. Look, there's no point in really discussing this for too long. The horse is obviously very, very, very talented. Like, we know that, and everything went a bit wrong. The horse fell at Cheltenham. Was lucky to not get an absolute stamping on by Darva Star. Somehow Darva Star in that race jumped over MVLN. It was a remarkable bit of horsemanship from the jockey, I believe. But look, it would take a brave man to be backing this. I know at 2-7, but take a brave man to even putting this in multiples at this stage, Jack. But the horse could be, look, it could become, you know, one of the top class horses this season. A lot of people saying that he could go on to big Grade 1 honours in the near future. But look, I don't think he's worth taking on, but he's going to win this, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's going to win it with consummate ease. I think it's fair to say. I mean, Rachel Blackmore being on board is not a problem whatsoever. I'm expecting to do it and Julie bolt up. But I do think there's actually a little bit of value in the without market. Now, don't get me wrong, Cocoa Beach is clearly the second best favourite in the race. But there's 2 big question marks there for me. One being a layoff, although I don't think that'd be too much of a problem because he has run well fresh in the past. And 2, this trip, which I think is way too sharp for him. Let's not forget he was 7th last time out in the Irish Grand National. I think this trip is way too sharp for him, and there's not too much of a pace angle. So I think he could perhaps be caught out for pace. And I think Vado Forte could perhaps get the better of him. And I think 15-8 without Envoy Allen looks a cracking price. I mean, I don't know what Gordon Elliott has done to him, but He was an absolute revelation on stable debut last time out, over pretty much this exact trip, 20 yards off this trip. He stepped up to this trip for the first time last time out and destroyed his rivals, albeit not a great race, but he did it in some style. The time was about 5 seconds quicker than another handicap on the same day. Again, not a great race, but he did it at Canter. And I mean, if he can improve from that, I think 15-8 about Envoy Allen to get the better of Cocoa Beach could be a good price.
There we go, potentially a decent bet without the favourite in that market. But Jack and I both expect Envoy Allen to go do the business in that, and it'd be excellent to see him back to winning ways. Now let's cross over the Irish Seas and we go to Wetherby for a great card there, the Charlie Hall Chase card over there. And we'll start off with the 155. It's the Bet365 Mares Hurdle, a listed race over 2 miles. Miranda is your 9-4 favourite. Molly Ollie's Wishes is 3-1. Marie's Rock 7-2. Her Indoors 6-1. Zambella is 7s. 5-20 is 9-1. And Getaway Queen 50-1. It's an interesting one here, Jack, because when I went through the form of these horses, quite a lot of the top of the market around this time of the year haven't ran very well, but kind of around the October, November time. If you actually look at Miranda's runs kind of throughout the season, October to November, 4th of 6, 8th of 8, and then 7th of 14. The horse doesn't seem to run too well at this time of the year, but look, it doesn't look a great field. It really doesn't. I'm personally going to be taking on Miranda here, and that'll be with a skeleton horse, Molly Ollie's Wishes. I'm not actually overly confident in this race, and I don't know if you're probably going to share the same opinion potentially with this one here, that it's not the best race in the world. But look, the horse can throw a decent string of wins together. We know that. And I think the form in the National Spirit, it's great to be talking about Fontwell on this channel, but the form in the National Spirit behind Brewing Up a Storm and the Fabulous actually is very good form with regards to this. I think it's the best bit of form in the race. Now, Miranda has beaten a few of these, and another horse that does seem to put a decent string of wins together. But Nichols often has a few horses where they need the run, and potentially Miranda's going to be one of those horses. I think that she could still be improving, Molly Ollie's Wishes. I think that she could be a lot more competitive than this, and I think that 3-1 is potentially a fair price. But it's not a horse that I'm going to be putting up as a selection. But if I had to make a pick in here, Jack, it would be Molly Ollie's Wishes. Would you be with the favourite here?
If I'm being honest, this is probably the first race in a while where I wouldn't go anywhere near. Yeah. I think this is an absolute nightmare of a race. Miranda's record after a break leaves plenty to be desired. I mean, Molly Ollie's Wishes, it's the first time she's running over 2 miles since December 2019. I don't think she wants to step back and trip. It would worry me that Marie's Rock has a wind up, and I'm not quite sure how good 5-20 and Her Indoors actually are. I think it's an absolute mess of a race. It will definitely be a no-bet race for me. Of course, I love my man Dan Skelton, so I would love to see Molly Ollie's Wishes do the business. I mean, we're back in the National Hunt Spirit, so I've got my Dan Skelton cap on for the rest of the season. So it'd be nice to see her go and do it, but I probably won't be going anywhere near it.
Yeah, okay, we both share the same opinion there with regards to that race. We move on now to the 2:30. It's the Bet365 hurdle. This is a grade 2 over 3 miles, and Paisley Park, the Stayers hurdle hero from a couple of seasons ago, is back out here. 2-1 favourite. Thomas Darby 7-2. Master Tommy Tucker, the nutcase, is 9-2. Indefatigable is 6-1. Run for Oscar 17-2. Proshimo is 12-1. Arstill 18-1. And Slate House 50-1. Jack, I'll let you begin talking about this race, but it's great to see Paisley Park over hurdles once again for another season.
Yeah, I think it is. But for me, his air of invincibility has gone. He was once the staying division king, and he's now perhaps gone to a little bit of a whimper. I mean, his run at Aintree was slightly concerning, being pulled up before 3 out. So I know the current going is good, and I think that's a little bit misleading because I know there's a lot of rain forecast Friday and potentially Saturday morning as well. But for me, I'm probably going to be looking outside of Thomas Darby, Master Tommy Tucker. I don't really know what to make of Master Tommy Tucker stepping back over hurdle. It's a big unknown in the race, which can kind of make me a little bit tentative towards my vote. But of course, I said the Dan Skelton hat is going to go on, and it's going on right now with Proshima. I think he's been crying out for this trip, if I'm being honest. He hasn't been run over 3 miles, but I think he's been hitting the line strong over 2.5 miles. If you look earlier this year in April and May, both of his wins, he had a lot of work to do. He's usually posted towards, settled towards the rear of the field. I think even off top weight, when he was a respectable 5th last time out, he gave a good account there, and I really want to see him over this 3-mile trip. So even though he was only 5th in that silver trophy, he was giving weight away all the way around. He's been crying out for this trip, and I hope 12-1 he'll be able to go relatively close, although he's got a lot to find on ratings with Paisley Park.
Yeah, and it's great to see as well. Harry Skelton landed his 1,000th winner on Thursday A jockey definitely on the up and going to be competing for the jockey's title. I'm sure of that. Now, I am going to be with Paisley Park, and this is actually a bit of head and heart here. And I actually think that this horse here, he's just a horse that seems to love racing. He actually reminds me of Stradivarius on the flat. He just doesn't want to stop. He just keeps going. I love this horse's late flourish to races. That's one thing that he's known for. The horse will be off the bridle probably from about 3 or 4 furlongs out, and will just keep staying and plugging away. We saw that even when he finished third in the Stayers Hurdle this year, and we've seen it in the past as well, where he's been off the screen and somehow comes through to win. But look, Emma Lavelle said that the horse she thinks he's at his best or close to his best. I think the runner Aintree after Cheltenham, I think that was just too much for the horse. I don't think it was needed. I don't know whether Emma Lavelle kind of regrets doing that. But I look at the horse's, season reappearance last year, where the horse lost to Time Hill, but finished well ahead of McFabulous that day, and ran a really decent race. And I actually think this is a far weaker race. The horse, Paisley Park's 9. I know that might be a bit of a downfall, but I just think that potentially this is a fairly weak race, and I think that he should be beating these if he is to show that he's still one of the leading players in the Stayers division. And I do think that potentially he could be one of those that is still up there as one of the best horses in that division. We're going to find out on Saturday, but on ability, if you go off his Cheltenham run, personally, I think that he's going to be far too good for these. I really do. So it's going to be Paisley Park for myself as a win better 2-1, and Prashima for the Skelton Yard for Jack as a nice each way price at 12-1. Let's go on to the highlight on the card there at Wetherby. It's the 305. It's the Bet365 Charlie Hall Chase, a grade 2 over 3 miles. Surname is your 6-5 favourite here. Clondor Castle and Shan Blue are 9-2. Fuso Raffles is 6-1. Kitty's Lights 11s, Mighty Thunder 20-1, and Topville Ben is 25-1. First of all, Jack, Surname. It's a really interesting one, this one, because Surname pulled up the last twice. I mean, everyone knows Surname. Probably his most famous race was the one between him and Altior at Ascot, where he went and won that day, and earned himself the prize of being the top rated chaser in the country. It's going to be difficult for someone to be backing this horse potentially at 6-5, Jack, off the back of 2 times being pulled up. Is it one of those where you just leave the race alone, or is there potentially a decent each way angle, or maybe even a win bet other than Surname in here?
Yeah, I'd be leaning towards leaving it alone. I mean, last year there was obviously a lot of value there because he did it very comfortably. I mean, Vindication was back in second by about 2 lengths, but that by no means flattered his authority he had over Vindication at the time. I mean, he has £9 on anything in ratings here. He should be able to do it. As you say, the wind op's a little bit concerning for me, and I think 6-5, it's short enough, isn't it? If we're being honest. And for me, I'm actually going to give one more chance to Shamblu at 9-2. I think as a win bet. I mean, of course, last year on this weekend, on Charlie Hull weekend, was absolutely destructive at Wetherby. Hopefully this return to Wetherby, he's 2 out of 2 at Wetherby. Hopefully the return to the track will be able to boost him back into some form. I mean, of course, he was comfortably swept aside by Chantry House at Aintree. So at 9-2, I know he can jump for fun on his day. Hopefully the return to Wetherby, he'll be able to put up a challenge to Surname. Is he good enough? We're not too sure. He has a lot to find on ratings, but at 9-2, I'll be staying with the Skelton Shamblu and giving him one more go.
Yeah, I mean, last week I was saying that Sam Twiston-Davies was going to have a good weekend. He did, and Jack's saying potentially the Skeltons could be in for a decent weekend at Wetherby this week. So it'll be fascinating to see. And like Jack's saying, look, he actually beat the London Gold Cup favourite. We'll move on to that in a bit. In Vindication last year, if the wind ops worked and he's suddenly back to his best again, he's not going to be beaten here. I'd actually potentially give a small each way play. So it would be a small, very small each way play to Topville Ben in there, the outside of the lot at 25-1 for the Phil Kirby yard. Now, like I say, there are a lot of question marks, even about the favourite, but a lot of the other runners as well in here. I really do think so. And this horse really does seem to love Wetherby. 5 runs here and 3 wins, a course and distance winner. I know on ratings that he's probably got no hope, but I just think with the course form here and these question marks about the other runners, I just think that he could potentially just jump round and nick a place at 25-1. So he'd be my small each way play in there. So Jack will win bet on Shamblu and myself with an each way play on Topville Ben at 25-1. Now let's move on to the final race we're going to be previewing before we get on to our next best and naps of the week. It's the Ascot 320. It's the London Gold Cup handicap chase. It's a 3 mile grade 3 class 1 handicap. Vindication is your 11-4 favourite here. John Beebe is 13-2. One More Flurry and Regal Encore 15-2. Jerry's back 9-1. Benny's King 10s. Sojourn is 12-1. Mr. Malarkey Larry. Captain Chaos 14-1 and 16-1. And bigger the rest. Now Regal Encore is a horse that I know a lot of people are probably going to be backing. The horse seems to love this race. Seems to absolutely love Ascot. There's no doubt about this. Winner of this last year. Now I'm going to bring up a really fascinating story. Now back at the start of October, I went on a great 1-year anniversary trip with my girlfriend to Somerset. And we had a taxi driver whilst we were there. Now, it could only happen to me that this taxi driver was a big fan of racing. He started talking about racing in the back of the car. And I was fascinated to hear more. Say, look, how are you involved in racing? Now, this taxi driver worked for the Honeyball yard. And I was like, oh, right, okay, like how are things going? Like, what do you do there? And he said, look, he was quite high up in the yard, and he said, you know, our horses at the moment, they're running extremely well. I can't believe I'm talking about a taxi driver on this channel. But he said, whatever we're throwing out at the moment, especially during October, he said, whatever we're throwing out seems to be winning. Now, the yard are going at a 20% strike record at the moment. They've only had 10 runners, so, you know, it's not really an amazing strike record considering that. But a lot of people are going to be with Regal Encore, and despite me telling that story, I'm actually going to be against Regal Encore.
Oh, you can't do that. Surely you've got to be with him after that.
Oh, the teaser. Everyone loves a teaser. They really do. And I'm actually going to be with the horse that went and beat him the last day at Ascot. And here we go, the Skelton Yard, Jack. I am with one. It's going to be Captain Chaos for myself. I really do think he's got a major chance in here. He beat Regal Encore last day. Last day, Regal Encore was giving £15. Same again this time around. But we're looking at Tristan Durrell on board Captain Chaos here, claiming an extra 7. I think he's going to be mad if this horse isn't right in with the placings. I really do. I think he's got a right old chance, Captain Chaos, at 14-1. I'd love to see Regal Encore run a big race. I really would. He loves Ascot and is becoming a bit of a small Ascot legend, you could say. But Captain Chaos and myself for the Skelton Yard. God, Jack, we're fancying the Skeltons this weekend. What about yourself?
We love Dan Skelton. We love him. He's a beautiful man. He really is. But I think I'm not going to try and complicate this one, if I'm being honest. We got the 2020 winner, of course, as you said, Regal Encore. We got the 2019 winner in Vindication. I'm probably going to be slightly boring. He's very, very good, fresh. I mean, he's got a record of 1-1-2, and that second was in the Charlie Hall last year on this same card. Instead, he's on the card at Wetherby on the same day. I mean, he had a bit of a muddled campaign last year, trying to go back over hurdles. I think they should just simplify. They're sending him back to where he knows best, which is Ascot. So although he's a relatively short price at 3-1, he's got a bundle of weight to carry. I think he could perhaps be too classy for them. Okay,
right. Vindication for Jack as a win bet. I'm going to be Captain Chaos each way, and my Somerset taxi driver is probably going to be on Regal Encore. Let's move on to our next best before we move on to our naps, Jack. I'll start off quickly because I've just discussed him in great detail. My next best is going to be a decent each way bet on Captain Chaos in the London Gold Cup. Your next best?
It's going to come with a 210 at Ascot, a handicap, and it's going to be Miss Heritage, who was second to Langerdan at Sandown before he finished second in the Martin Pipe at Cheltenham. I think she perhaps is a little bit well handicapped, and hopefully the rain will come because she is a mud lover. So she's about 16-1 each way in the 210 at Ascot.
There we go. And on to the naps. My nap is going to be a horse called Solo in the 135 at Ascot on Saturday. Seems to be loving Ascot at the moment. Look, he looks like he's going to be a fairly nice chaser coming off the back of a wind-up. Nichols said that this horse is one of his horses that probably is going to be fine without the run. I think Lorcan Williams is just a bonus to this horse taking £3 off. I actually think that Lorcan Williams is probably one of the best £3 claimers in the jumps game at the moment. I think the horse showed a lot of ability as a juvenile initially. A lot of people are excited about this horse. Hasn't really shown much since, but in this handicap chase, this novice handicap chase, I think potentially he's going to be a tough one to beat, and 4-1 will be the price of Solo as my nap. What about yourself, Jack?
Mine's actually going to be over in Ireland. It's one of these handicap hurdles like last year when I picked out Drop the Anchor at about 12-1. It's over the minimum trip of 2 miles, and I quite like the chances of Esky Lane. He's opened up at 6-1. I hope we can get about 7-8-1 on the day. I mean, let's not forget he was 5th behind Fernie Hollow in the Champion Bumper in 2020. He's still off a mark of 134. He's yet to really build on that. But on his seasonal reappearance, he was 4th at Listowel. He's only gone up £1 from that, and I'd be so surprised if he's not better than a mark of 134 and isn't hitting the frame with a reproduction of that effort. So I think Esky Lane at 6-1. Hopefully we can get a little bit larger on the day. Is going to be my each way nap.
There we go. There's our naps and next best. You'll probably see our main selections on screen now. And that's going to be it for our weekend preview. We're probably not going to have a feature video with you guys next week. We'll be back next weekend where we are going to be previewing, we're going to be previewing the Breeders' Cup. 2 days of action. That's probably actually going to come to you on a Thursday, that video, as we have the racing on the Friday and Saturday. So it gives you guys time, a bit of time to watch that. And I know a lot of people probably won't be previewing the Breeders' Cup. There'll probably be some jumps action that weekend, but we'll be the ones previewing the action over at Del Mar where the surf meets the turf. We're looking forward to that one there. But yeah, do keep subscribing to the channel. It's been mad, the recent support for the channel. If you can get us to 800 subscribers before the start of November, we'd really appreciate it. But like I say, thanks for the support. Let us know your naps down in the comment, and we will see you next weekend for our Breeders' Cup preview. Thanks for watching.